you can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
If you would like to hear Night Dreams Talk Radio on your local radio station, let them know. Tell them to check out www.nightdreamstalkradio.com, and thank you.
Coming to you from some far point station, like a cosmic tumbleweed, both north and south of the Pleiades. Here's your host, Gary Anderson.
Just waiting for that storm to pass the compound. There it is. It's gone. Anyway, tonight we got a great guest, Barbara Delong. She is a podcaster, a radio host, and a lecturer, a minister, and a whole bunch more, doing talk shows for many years. I'm just so proud to have Barbara on our show tonight. Barbara, are you still with us?
I'm still with you.
Okay. What do you think about disclosure and what is going on with UFOs and ufology at this time?
Well, I've gone through a whole process of evolution through UFOs and understanding of them. When I was in college in the 60s, one landed on my campus.
Interesting.
And it was when Hynek was going around saying, it's swamp gas, it's swamp gas, it's swamp gas. Well, when it landed on the campus, the dorms were already locked, but we heard the police cars going, screeching by, and we heard them saying over their radios, we're going to turn on the stadium lights and get a better look at it. And we could see the glow in the sky. There was a building between my dorm and the baseball field where it had landed. And we saw the glow in the sky, and then we saw this saucer just gently, rise up, and it swooped over my dorm. And the phrase that I use all the time is, it was close enough so that if it had had a VIN number, I would have seen it.
Oh, wow. Can you describe, Barbara, what it looked like, how big it was?
Well, it was big enough so it blocked out the sky. And, of course, in those moments, you're not thinking of, what are the dimensions of this, but it landed on the baseball field, and it touched two edges of it. So however big a baseball field is, that was about the circumference of it.
That's big.
I don't know. I would say it was more than 100 feet wide. There were no windows or anything. It was solid all around. It did have lights that they weren't external lights. They glowed from inside. So the hull glowed in different colors, orange and red and green. No red. And it hovered there, it felt like for half a breath, and then it was gone. And what blew my mind was that there was no sonic boom, there was no disturbance of air. It was just gone. And what was fascinating to me was, of course, everybody was gathered around the windows and looking, and, some of the girls were screaming, some were crying, some were hiding in closets, some were trying to, they were running around like lunatics, and others didn't see anything. And, I stood there and said, now that's the coolest thing ever. I want to ride in that. And
you don't want to wish that, that.
Well, it all depends. It all depends. And so we waited to hear what was on the news, and there was nothing on the news. There was a total blackout at that time of what had happened. And yet the whole rest of the evening, the state police patrolled the campus with 2 patrolmen and German Shepherd. They were in teams. But nobody said anything about it. And decades later, I met somebody who had written a book, Nick Rossler, called In Focus, which went and investigated all of the authenticated UFO sightings, and mine was one of them. And it was it was such a relief because I had taken. Now I don't drink, but everybody thought I had been drunk. I had had too much beer that night, and I had been unmercifully teased for decades about you saw a UFO, you're a kook. And it just, in many ways, that's what started me on this holistic, metaphysical, spiritual pathway, kind of like there's something else out there. It's not just us. There's someone else out there. Now, since then, I've been, I married into the UFO field because my late husband was Patrick Cook, who had the Matrix Radio podcast for so long, and he had the Bible UFO Connection website up there, and he was talking about the UFOs in the Bible before anybody else was, so he was, a heretic as far as most people thought. And so he and I, when we got together, he didn't believe in psychics, and which made some things very interesting. But so I got an amazing education, indoctrinated into the UFO thing, and then after he passed away, I started to look into the disclosures and Corey Good and his experiences, and the Montauk Project, and then the UFOs that were collected during and before World War II, and the Navy got some and the Army got some, and there were some in Russia, and there's evidence to show that we've been making our own saucers for decades. So when you see them in the night sky, you don't know if it's ours or theirs, or actually an alien UFO. And to my mind, there are UFOs out there that are not of a terrestrial source. But I believe they're interdimensional. I don't believe they're quote-unquote spaceships. I believe they're interdimensional shifters.
Probably, and it could be. What you have said, I've had only one encounter. Now, I was in Vietnam. I know what helicopters sound, but during my first marriage, I moved from Seattle to North Carolina, New Bern, North Carolina. I didn't love it at all. I hated it. And I moved back after about 2 months. And I realized that going there destroyed my marriage, which thank God it did, actually, because I've been blissfully married to my current wife now for going on 44 years. We got into New Mexico. They had a ridiculously high speed limit or no speed limit on, the back roads. And I had a GTO, and I just wanted to go fast. And then all of a sudden, the road lit up so bright that it hurt my eyes. Inside of the car was bright. And the first thing in my mind goes, okay, well, it's a police helicopter. And so I pull off the side of the road. I open up the car, Barbara. I open the door. I step out. I don't hear a sound. Now, here I am in the desert at night. Not a single sound. But the light was so intense. And then, poof, it was gone. Now, I know what a helicopter sounds like. There was no sounds of the egg beater noise. There was nothing. And, it made me think, more as I got older, I had a strange encounter. Because I don't think it was anything of ours. It was something, I can't explain what it was. I talked to Peter Davenport about it, and that he had one of those type sightings, and that's what got him into doing what he does. But I can tell you, when you see something like that, it changes your whole mindset. So I know where you came from. It
does. I think in many ways, it's sort of like an out-of-body experience or a near-death experience. You're suddenly faced with something that is beyond your reality. And it either opens the door that floods you with wanting to know more, or it shuts the door and you hide in the closet for a while. So, I happen to be the kind that, I want to know more. And also then the research that I did. I understand that there is a lot of activity around nuclear plants. There's a lot of activity around a lot of the stone chambers and a lot of the sacred sites that are around the planet. Certainly, Stonehenge has a lot. Machu Picchu has a lot. So does the South American pyramids. They set up cameras, and first of all, they had orbs, and then there were also the UFO'S. Lynn Katai she did Phoenix Lights, and she had so much film on them. She actually has the first actual documented evidence of lost time. So I think that there are alien saucers out there. I don't think there are as many as people think.
I got a funny feeling a lot of them are our own governments, other world governments. But I will tell you this, that it is scary what is going on with ufology right now. Because here's the thing. Do you know who Terry Lovelace is by any chance?
The name is familiar.
Yeah, he was in the military, Air Force. He was a a corpsman back in, I think, the mid-'70s. Him and his friend, never been camping. They decided they're going to go camping. So they went out and bought all the stuff to go camping. They thought they went camping in a state park. Well, they turned out to be, off on their directions. They were on federal land, but they saw some strange lights at night, and it came closer and closer and closer. And then they went to bed, and then they heard some weird noise, like a diesel train parked in front of, next to the tent.
Oh, wow.
They stick their head out, and they see little kids, what they thought were little kids. And then they saw the craft, and then they were taken aboard the craft. And I'll tell you, his encounter was not one of the friendly encounters. So I think we got couple things going on. You got people out there that says, "Oh, the aliens are here to help us." Then we got another group that says, "No, they're evil." I think we might have a mixture of what is visiting our planet.
I would say probably. First of all, I can't figure out what's so fascinating about the Earth. To be honest with you, we certainly, as far as technology goes, we aren't as advanced as whoever is in those saucers, and it's just it's fascinating to speak to people. Are you familiar with James Penniston?
Yeah, he's been on the show.
Yeah, I had him as well, and listening to him talk about the ship that he saw and that he touched, and that he had a download of binary code that they've translated, is fascinating to me.
It is. And it's also scary at the same time. What I need to do is actually email you, like Terry Lovelace's email. And I think it would make a great guest on your show. And,
great.
Yeah. And, but the thing it scares me about what's going on is I think we might not be more than a zoo to some of these races of species of aliens or not. I sit there and think, why would they want our Earth? Well, our Earth is beautiful from one aspect. We got oceans, we got trees, we got rivers, we have, tons of people, and we could be a zoo. Again, we don't know what they're looking for or what they want from us. That's the scary part. That's the part I can't digest.
I kind of think sometimes that watching over what's going on this planet is their idea of reality TV, Look at what they're doing now. Can you believe that? And just watching us struggling along. And I don't think, and then if you stop and